Yes, hello students, welcome back to our channel. So in this video we are going to talk about the new chapter, that is structure of atom. Okay, so you know that in your previous classes, that is in your high school classes, you have studied that whatever the things you see in this universe are all one or the other types of matter. You know the concept of matter, right? Matter is anything which has some mass and occupies some space, right? Matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. That means that has some mass and that has some volume. We call it as matter. And in this, whatever you see in this universe, all are one types of matter. Maybe it means solid, liquid, or gas. It may be in the plasma state, or also it may be in the Bose-Einstein condensate. That is the fifth state of matter. Okay. So all these matters are consist of particles. You know that particles we call it as atoms. Right? Atoms. We have got this. Atoms is derived from the Greek word called atomos. Atomos meaning it is undivisible, or uncuttable. So right now we have the information that atoms are nothing but the smallest indivisible particle. The smallest indivisible particles of matter, we call it as atoms. Okay, so we have got some scientific clarifications, we have got some chemical ideas regarding the atom by the Dalton's atomic theory, right? Dalton's atomic theory. We have got some scientific explanation regarding this atom. Atoms are the smallest indivisible particles of a matter. That is the first postulate of Dalton's atomic theory that we have studied in our previous classes. But it was during the 18th century Dalton proposed this, mid 18th century. But later on the discoveries went. So till the period of Dalton, we have got the information that atoms are the smallest indivisible particles of matter. There are no further things after atom. That means we cannot cut atoms, we cannot divide atoms. That is the smallest ever thing. But later discovery showed that the atoms consist of subatomic particles. Subatomic particles. That means atoms also can be further subdivided into protons, neutrons, electrons. Yeah, and we have even positron also, but we do not worry about that. We will worry regarding only these three main things. So according to the later discoveries after John Dalton, what the atom, according to John Dalton, that was undivisible. Okay, that undivisible particle can be divided, and they do have the subatomic particles like protons, neutrons, and electrons. Student, this is the concept. So in this chapter, we will be dealing with the complete information regarding atom, how we got the proton, how we got the neutron, how we got the electron, and regarding the complete structure of an atom, where is the nucleus and how the electrons are revolving around us. So this is the introduction to the structure of the atom. So let us focus on the discovery of electron. We have an experiment for this. Yes, students, this is the experimental setup of the cathode ray tube experiment. CRT, it stands for cathode ray tube. cathode ray tube experiment. It is given by the scientist named J.J. Thomson. J.J. Thomson. He was the discoverer of the electron. Okay, so let us look at the initial setup of this experiment. We have a cathode ray tube is a hard glass tube of about 50 centimeter in length. Okay, what this is just an glass tube. It is a very hard glass tube of around 50 centimeters in length, and it is sealed at both the ends. It is sealed at both the ends. Okay, and it is fitted with two metal electrodes. We have cathode and we have anode. Those are the two metal electrodes. Cathode is negatively charged. Don't get confused. This is not ion. This is cathode. It is negatively charged. And anode it is positively charged. Okay. So we have this hard glass tube of 50 centimeter length, and this is sealed at both the sides. And the metal, and we have two metal electrodes fitted up clear inside that cathode ray tube. One we have called it as cathode, that is negatively charged, and one we call it as anode, that is positively charged. And later on it is provided with a side tube. Here it is provided with a side tube which is connected to a vacuum pump. Why do we use vacuum pump here? So as we are passing the gas inside this cathode ray tube, we need to maintain that particular gas at very low pressure. It is very important. And these two are connected to the batteries also. Batteries are used to provide high voltage. Clear? So the gas inside this cathode ray tube has to be subjected to electric discharge at low pressure. This low pressure is created by the vacuum pump, and at high voltage, this high voltage is created by the battery which is connected to it. Okay, and later on what happens, this is the initial setup, students. So we have a hard glass tube and it is sealed at both the ends, and we have two metal electrodes, one is cathode and one more is anode, and we have a vacuum pump. Okay, vacuum pump to create the low pressure gas, and it is also connected to a battery to get the high voltage. So the next thing is, as soon as the pressure is low and the voltage is high, a stream of invisible rays moves from cathode to anode. See, these rays we cannot see with the naked eyes. Okay, now in the next slide we will get information how we get to see this. Okay, but we are mentioning it as invisible because these rays we cannot see through the naked eye. So, but there is some experiment to check whether the rays are moving from cathode to anode. That we will see in the next slide. Okay, that's the next thing. So, as soon as the voltage is maintained high and the pressure is maintained low, the stream of invisible rays moves from cathode to anode. Okay, these rays are known as cathode rays. These are known as cathode rays. Clear, students? So, see, I said you that you cannot see those invisible rays. You cannot see them. So, we'll take the help of a fluorescent screen. What we do is, we'll make some holes in this anode. We know that the rays are moving from left to right. That means from cathode to anode. So, we are calling as cathode rays, but we are not able to see the cathode rays. So, what we do is, we will make some holes in this anode electrode, okay, and we will cover this side with a phosphorescent material, or what we call it as phosphorescent screen, that is made up of zinc sulfide. Phosphorescent screen. Okay, so I will keep a screen. So whenever the rays passes from cathode and it will reaches the anode, and with these holes which are made in anode, it will pass through these holes, and once a time it reaches this phosphorescent screen, this phosphorescent screen glows. Yeah, this is the property of phosphorescent screen. So whenever the glowing of phosphorescent screen occurs, it means that some invisible rays, some charged rays are moving from cathode to anode. some rays are passing from cathode to anode. This is the experimental setup and this is the experiment, the thing which is going on. So now let us see, look at the observation, what happens and how do we know that these rays are electron itself. Okay, so let us discuss that. Let me repeat, students, it is a simple experiment, no need to panic. So we have a hard glass tube of around 50 centimeter length, just a simple glass tube, and it is sealed in both the ends also, and we have two metal electrodes fitted in it. One is cathode and one is anode. Cathode is negatively charged and anode is positively charged, and we have some spaces left for vacuum pump. So why we are using vacuum pump? In order to get the low pressure of the gas. There is gas inside this vacuum tube. Okay, so we need to maintain it at low pressure, and we use the battery for maintaining the high voltage. As soon as you did this setup, some invisible rays move from cathode to anode because they are connected to the battery, right? So there should some reaction take place. Okay, so cathode to anode, but initially we cannot see those rays because as they are invisible, we cannot see. So what we do is we'll place a phosphorescent screen. Phosphorescent screen is made up of zinc sulfide. Phosphorescent screen is made up of zinc sulfide. As soon as these rays touches this zinc sulfide phosphorescent screen, that phosphorescent screen glows. With the help of that glowing nature, we can say that some charges, some rays are passing from